Alright, good morning, Wasteland. Mr. G bringing you Coffee Crossout. Today, we're going to start looking at epic weapons. And since there are so many epic weapons, I can't review them all in one video. So today we're going to look at just heating and cooling based purple epic weapons. And we're going to review all of those. Next, we'll get to reloading, and then we'll get to some of the other oddball ones that are in this category. But today, we're going to look at heating and cooling based reloaded epic weapons. Number one thing y'all need to remember about epic weapons if you're new and you're coming up from rares is each one of these has its own unique perk. And you're going to want to try and make sure you factor that into your playstyle when you're playing with these. So let's get fired up. And let's start out with the Spectre. The Spectre is an MG machine gun. You're going to want to use a Perseus co-driver with this thing. Getting a direct hit stacks damage for this thing. So you're going to want to keep on target with the Spectre. One of the biggest tips I can give you for the Spectre is just burst fire this thing. You don't want the reticle to get really big. See how if I just hold down the trigger, I'm not going to be able to hit nearly as well. You're going to want to just feather the trigger with these things so you can keep that times 10 just stacked like we had down there at the bottom of the screen. Also, all of these weapons are going to really do better with coolers and radiators. Some are going to do better with rads, some are going to do better with a combination of radiators and coolers, and we'll talk about that more a little bit later. So you can see right there, if you can just keep these things on target, you're going to get a damage bonus the whole time. You miss, it's gone. You got to start over. A solid weapon for new players that really like machine guns. So if you enjoyed the Vector, give this thing a go. Next up on our list, we've got the Tackler. Now, this thing is not craftable. You have to get it with the Icebox pack. And they used to be, they're still really good. They're a very, very solid purple weapon choice. And their perk has increased damage resistance, but only when it's not shooting. These things do solid damage. You'll also notice you can put a little bit of armor in front of them, at least one weld point up. Obviously, this is not the best way to run these, but I'm just slapping these on a test platform. So you're going to also want to make sure that you're just feathering the trigger with these, as accuracy will go way down if you continue to shoot. You can see the reticle there. If we just tap these things, they're going to do better. And you're also going to get that damage resistance bonus in between every shot if you're just feathering the trigger with those. Next up on the list today, Equalizer. Very solid choice. And there's no really equivalent version of this in blue or in a rare. This thing's a minigun. And let's take a look at this thing. The bonus with this is the longer the weapon fires, the higher its damage. So after 7 seconds of uninterrupted shooting, the damage is increased by 105%. That is a lot of increase. So you want to keep this thing as hot as possible and as close to overheat as possible. You let go of the trigger though, and it's going to reset. So you're going to want to use radiators. If you're new, radiators let things heat up for longer. Coolers cool them down faster. So radiators are going to be your go-to for using equalizers. So you're going to see right now, they take a minute to spool up, 20, 23, 24 damage. All right, let's heat these up. Heat them up, heat them up, heat them up. There we go. And see, now we're at full damage bonus, 37.89. Yeah, a lot more damage when these things are heated up. But as soon as you let off the trigger, you notice that little orange band around there resets. So you're going to want to keep your finger on the trigger for as long as possible with these. And they also take a little bit of time to spool up, but they are great for stripping weapons and just doing solid DPS from close to mid-range. Next up, we have the Aurora. Now the Aurora is a funky weapon. It heats up parts. It also does damage, but mostly it heats up parts, which makes the parts receive 100% more damage. So on its own, by itself, the Aurora is not great at doing damage, like 3, 2, 2, 7, 24. But as this thing heats up, as the cab heats up, we're starting to do more damage. Still, just using Auroras is not the way to go. Auroras are going to pair best with Equalizers. So usually I don't do like weapon combinations in a review video, but you're gonna just want to do it this way. If you're gonna use an Aurora, pair it with a couple Equalizers. And if you're gonna use Equalizers, you really want to make sure that you're using at least 3. So the Equalizer, the Aurora is going to heat up the part, Equalizers are going to do the damage, and it's going to blow up really quickly. And they have really similar range, spool up time, and accuracy, although the Aurora is just silly accurate. I wish we could get some laser weapons or some beam weapons using some of the Aurora stuff. All right, next up we've got Thunderbolts, which you're going, oh, there they are. These things, for every 40 meters traveled, damage increases by 25%, stacks up to 4 times for a total of 100%. I saw some guy using Thunderbolts on a Goliath track build the other day, and I just wanted to cry because see that damage stack up there? It stacks up while we're moving. You want these on something fast, something that's going to be moving. You want to keep moving with these, because as soon as you slow down, you're going to lose that stacking bonus to damage. So these are basically just shotguns. They're going to be good for stripping weapons. They've got more range than some other shotguns you might have run into. You can do damage from fairly far off with these, but you're going to do much better damage up close. Solid weapon choice. Next up, you've got whirlwinds. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't love whirlwinds. They're an autocannon. They're a sniper weapon, so they're an upgraded version of the rapier. And their perk is... Alright, we'll show you. Their perk is the farther away from the target, further away from the target, whatever you want to say, the more damage they're going to do. So that's 64 damage. So let's back it on up. I really hate how massive they are. They're just huge. They're really big. And I'm not in love just with the amount of overall damage they do over time. I'm not in love with their DPS, but you could, yeah, I mean, was that more damage? Maybe a little. The perk always feels like it's not that much more damage to me. You're also going to want to feather the trigger with these, because if you hold down, accuracy kind of goes out the window. But if you are into playing sniper builds, yeah, this works. I mean, this works. It's not mine. It's not my thing. I don't love them. But that's just me. Okay. Next up, we've got GL55 Impulse Grenade Launcher. Once per 10 shots, there's a 75% chance to stop rotation of the enemy's weapons for 1 second. If you're thinking, oh, that sounds sucky, you can jam enemy weapons. This has saved my life more times than I can count using this. Someone's about to shoot me with mammoths or something. And you jam their weapons up and they can't aim or they can't fire for 1 second. That'll save your life sometimes. And these are so fun, guys. It's a grenade launcher. I mean, just look at it. You're doing explosive damage. You're jamming targets. They're really fun. These things are super, super fun. But they do use ammo. They use heating and ammo. So you're going to want to make sure to put a little bit of extra ammo when you run these. Next up, the Caucus. I was never able to pronounce these when they first came out, but I finally did my homework. Yeah, the only thing of this perk is it automatically tracks the targets, but damage output on these is gonna be really, really not great. When they first came out, though, they were stupidly OP, and everybody and their brother was running as many of these as they could put on here. But they're going to benefit from radar and radar detectors. So you're going to want to hold over target, and you actually have to click and hold down until you get that lock like I just showed you. Before they would just fire on their own. You didn't have to do any of this. Hold down and select target. The only reason I've ever used a Caucus was when I did the infinite shield build, and I was too busy derping around managing running 3 Aegis shields at the same time. Don't really recommend this one. Maybe if you're a Mandrake user and you need something to protect you while you're busy firing the Mandrake, but you still got to get a lock. It's not really a great weapon choice. Just look at the damage is not great. It's not great. And that's just something else that I'm building for something else. So that's it for heating weapons. I'm going to tell you guys my top picks for heat up epic weapons are the GL55 Impulse Grenade Launcher. It does really good damage. It's also really good on hover. You know, Thunderbolts are all right. They're solid. The Spectre is solid for new players who like MGs. Tackler's good, but you know, it's not craftable yet, so that's going to be a little more expensive. Equalizer's a lot of fun. If you've never got to do the minigun, give it a go, but do realize you're going to really want at least 3 of these if you're going to bother doing Equalizers. 2 is just not going to get the job done, or you're going to want to go 2 Equalizers and an Aurora if you can get that done. And those are really my top picks just for the heating epic weapons. We'll talk about reload epic weapons next time. So you know what? Let's assemble this one. Let's take her over the jump. You guys let me know if you found these little tutorials useful, where I just ramble about the weapons, because I have used all of them on many builds over time. So I figured, hey, let's at least highlight what they do for new players so you guys can see. Try them out on your own. I'm doing crossout videos every day, so hit those like and subscribe buttons. And if you need crossout friends, check out the Discord, link in description. I'm done. We're doing the jump. We're doing the pew pew, and we're calling it a day. Mr. G out.